Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start, I think.
Start.
I am.
Be that way.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back once again to another week with my coffee break conversations. Today I'm just having water. I have my coffee cup. It is so hot today, guys. This whole week is supposed to be really hot. We're predicting 100, I think on Wednesday or Thursday. And so yeah, it's been hot and really humid for where I'm at. I mean, we've had some rain and yeah, it's just been crazy. So it's been an interesting summer, to say the least, guys. And which brings me to the segment this week that I wanted to talk about. As you guys know, I've mentioned this before. I've been working on my book, and I'm just ending my first chapter. I know it seemed like forever. Seems like forever to take me to get my first chapter done. But I've really had a lot of things to have to think about as I'm going through my first chapter because I had been dipping back into my past and some of the things that had happened, some of the struggles that I've went through. And I thought it would be a really good subject to talk about is how the lesson is in the struggle. And I know for some of us, well, I would say a lot of people, when we're going through something, we're going through a struggle, when we're going through it, we don't see the lesson in it at that time, right? I mean, I never have. I would be going through something, and at the time, I don't see the lesson in it. I don't see the rain, or what's the word? The light at the end of the tunnel, right? I don't see that. I'm more involved in what is going on at that moment. Oh my gosh, whatever I'm going through, and I don't see it. But the funny thing is when I was writing my chapter, I go back and I read it, and I read the whole thing to myself the other night, and it's like, wow, how many lessons did I actually learn during this time frame or throughout, the course of my life? What have I learned about myself, about life in general, about my business, about, relationships, anything in your life, if you allow the lesson to be learned. And when I was going through that, I was like, wow, this is just crazy. I realized in my conscious mind how many lessons I have actually learned through my life just by experiencing it, just by when I say struggle, okay, I want to reiterate kind of, when I say struggle, I don't always mean all the bad. The struggle usually means the bad, but it can also mean just overall life, what we go through in life. It could be a struggle, it could be a really good moment in our life that causes us to learn a good lesson. Because we learn our lessons not just from our struggles and our difficulties, but we also learn lessons from the good stuff. Now, I would want to say sometimes people might see the lesson and see the light at the end of the tunnel and see the brightness and the beauty of things when things are going well. Because when things are, I think when things are going well in our life, we don't tend to look at that because we're more caught up in the moment. We're more caught up in, wow, things are amazing, things are going great, things are awesome. And sometimes the lesson for us is not revealed on that end either. Sometimes we get too caught up in the moment. But there's a lesson in everything. And that's the thing I think that we really have to look at and it doesn't matter whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are working at a regular job, whatever you're doing in your life, there's always going to be a lesson somewhere. And I really think sometimes we don't want to see it, especially if we're going through some really difficult times. Or what I have also learned and observed, okay, and this is just my opinion, guys, but this is my own coming from my own personal experience and just coming from observing others, is there are times when the lesson is just staring us right in the face. I mean, it's just looking at us right in the eyes, but we don't see it. We close our eyes and we kind of go, I'm not looking, right? Right? We don't want to see what's in front of us. And sometimes when we do that, we cause ourselves more heartache, more problems, more anxiety, more stress.
Well, and part of that is not just, not just not wanting to see it. Sometimes, human beings can be more arrogant than they care to let on.
Ego, yeah.
Their ego gets in the way, and
Yeah.
ego does not mean we go, okay?
Yeah.
And ego is not even me go, okay? In an instance like this, where the answer is staring you in the face, but yet your ego will not let you accept it.
Yeah.
So to you, it's wrong, when the reality is, it is the right answer.
Or you get blindsided, you see like maybe you just see one direction and you're not allowing the expansion.
Yeah.
You're not allowing the expansion and you're just seeing one-way track and you're saying, oh, it's got to be this way. So yeah, you could be blind, you could be egotistical about it, like, oh well,
that could never be it.
That's not the problem,
So.
And we let a lot of things get in the way of seeing the lesson. And I think for me, there were times where I think I saw the lesson and I think I didn't want to see it, or I didn't know, because sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and if we're not taught where to look for the lesson, we might never see it. Or again, I know for me, there's times I just didn't think there was a problem. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's not that way, So there's a lot of factors, I think that can come into play when you're doing that. But if you allow for it, like me, after I've gone through something very difficult, very challenging, there are times when I now can sit back and go, oh, wait, that taught me something valuable. It might have taught me patience. It might have taught me to keep fighting despite something that's going on, not giving up. I mean, whatever the lesson is for you, and everybody's different, right? So for each person, the lesson that we learn from life is going to be different. And that's just because we're each individuals. So what I might learn from the same struggle, Toby might learn something different. Like if we're going through a difficulty together, then he might learn something different from it than I have. I might have a different perspective than he might. And then we talk about it and we're like, oh wait, that's true. There's actually more than one lesson to be learned here.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times people, what lessons teach us, if we allow it, sometimes the word lesson, I think, can be more negative. People think of it as a negative thing because, oh, you have to learn a lesson. It's like a kid being disciplined.
It's time to teach them a lesson.
Yeah, it's like a kid being disciplined. I'm going to teach you a lesson. And it's more of a negative thing. So what happens when we feel like it's a negative thing coming at us, coming back at us, I think we want to put up walls and we just go, no, I'm not going to see it. You're going to learn this lesson. Oh, no, I'm not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That can get in the way too. And so we got to really think of a better definition for lesson. The lesson in the struggle can actually be a very beautiful, very empowering thing. Because if we learn what we're supposed to learn, we can level up. We can go to that next level. But I think if we just kind of ignore it and not want to look at it, and like you said, get our ego in the way. A lot of the times we have to learn the lesson again. And we will keep having to go back and learn that same lesson over and over and over again until we get it right. And when I say right, I'm not meaning perfection, okay? I'm not meaning something way up here it has to be perfect. Getting it right means if we don't look at it and we keep letting ourselves get in our own way and our ego get in our own way, we won't learn the lesson. And guess what? We get to go back to first grade and learn it again before we advance to second grade. And once we make that advancement, we level up, okay? And you're like, wow, you can then your life can start opening up more avenues, more opportunity, more creativity, more focus, more energy, more purpose. I mean, there's all these positive things that can just bloom out of learning a lesson, right? I mean,
yeah.
And I've had to learn the hard way a couple of times. A lot of times on things, I don't learn it the first time. I want to go to second grade. Well, I get my butt thrown back in first grade again. It's like, okay, do over. And I'm sitting here, but wait, do over. What do you mean do over? And then you have to go back, and then not that the same struggle will happen to you, but something else will come up or something else will occur, maybe differently, to learn that same lesson. It may not be the same thing that happens to you. Like if you are, and this just popped into my head, I guess because it's hot and I'm thinking of ice. If you go on a lake and in the middle of wintertime and the lake has a little film of ice over it, and you go over it and say, oh, well, it's fine, I don't have to worry. And then you go out and walk on a lake and you go right into the cold water. And you get out and you're like, oh, man, okay, obviously that was a little bit too thin of ice. But then you go back a little bit later and go, nah, I don't think so. I'm going to try going this direction. I'll be okay. And you go maybe a foot over, you kind of place your feet in a different area, and you look at the hole you just created that you plunged into, and you go, whatever. It ain't going to happen again. I'll just do this. I'll do this.
That was close. Oh, well.
Yeah, oh, well.
I can go around, and it's not a big deal.
You go around a little bit, and bam, the same thing happens to you. You changed your direction a little bit, but you refused to see the lesson, what the ice was too thin, and you're going to go in the water, but you didn't see that lesson. So you did it again, changed the direction, and it happened again. Well, guess what? You didn't learn the first time. And are you going to learn the second time? Maybe. If you don't learn the second time, you're going to learn the third time. And it'll keep going until you learn it. And then once you do it so many times, if I guarantee you, if you plunge yourself into ice cold water too many times, you're going to go, okay, wait, I made a mistake. The lesson is, don't go out on thin ice. Maybe I need to do something different. Okay, you've obviously learned your lesson, and you're going to go do something different. I just thought of that because, like I said, it's cold, or it's hot, and I wanted to think of something cold, so I thought of ice. It made me feel better. But yeah, I mean, and what I've for my own life, I look back at my lessons and I go, wow, this is where it's supposed to lead me. Like each one of us have to learn our lessons in life. And like I said, take away the negativity from the word lesson. I wish I knew of another word to say besides lesson. But if we take away the negativity from that word and we just leave it as an advancement in our life, it's a learning curve. Like there we go, a learning experience. You're actually learning and exploring. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work for you, you need to pick another direction. And you learn and you grow. And I think sometimes people don't ever learn the lesson. There are some instances, and I don't want to say everybody, because that's putting judgment on a lot of people, which I don't want to do that. But I think there are times
when it does occur to
when
everybody.
it does occur, where people just don't learn the lesson, and the learning experience is right there for them to grasp onto, but they're not grasping onto it. It's almost like they're drowning in water. They're drowning and everything, and you throw them a life, one of those donuts.
Life preserver.
Yeah, life preserver. You throw them the life preserver, but yet they're still struggling. And they have it right there, but they're not reaching out for it. They're not reaching out to get to save themselves and learn from that experience. They're still drowning. And you can only do so much. You can only help people so much in that instance, because if their choice is to not learn from that experience, they're gonna drown. And there's not anything you can do. You can try to help them. You can try, in any way possible. You can throw them, like I said, you can throw them life preserver. Why can't I think of that, guys? It's on the tip of my tongue. You can throw them life preserver and they don't want it. So that's another thing altogether, is if they can't see that, you cannot make them see that. And I've thought that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. That old saying, and it's so true. You want them to succeed and you want them to move forward, but if they can't see the lesson and that learning experience themselves, they're going to keep having to go back and learn it over and over again, and it may never happen. So that's why I wanted to bring this to you today, to get you guys thinking of the lessons in your own life, your own learning curve, your own learning experiences, the experiences that you've had, the struggles that you've had in your life, whatever they are. Think back a moment and see where maybe you have learned your lessons on stuff and you've excelled from that. Or maybe in your life where you're just not seeing it and you just keep having to go back over and over again and it's not working. And if you find yourself doing that, to where you keep thinking, I keep having the same problems over and over and over and over again, it could very well be that you're not opening yourself up to seeing what you need to learn in order to move forward and move past that. And that can really, I think, keep you stuck and swimming in circles, swimming around the life preserver, not grabbing on. So I just felt compelled to really talk to you about that today, because it kind of brought up some stuff when I was doing my first chapter in my book. And looking back now, I can definitely see some of the lessons that I've learned, some of the lessons I've had to learn quite a few times, and probably some that I keep having to go back and learn. And it's actually a really good step forward into seeing maybe where you're stuck, maybe where things aren't working out so good for you, the decisions maybe you're making in your life that are just not seeming to work. It could very well be it's right there in front of you. It's just you're not seeing it.
You just have to take a step back.
Perspective.
Take a breath. Or two.
Or three.
Or three.
Yeah.
And then look at it again.
Yeah, go back and look. And look at it from an honest perspective, guys. Don't look at it from an ego perspective. Don't get up there on your soapbox and go, oh, well, I mean, that is not going to help you. You have to look at it from an honest, open perspective in order to really see it. And once you have, if you've found it and you know the lesson that you've had to learn or need to learn, that, guys, is your next step forward. That is where you will excel. And that's where a lot of people stop. A lot of people, it's like a ceiling. A lot of people will go up and all of a sudden they hit this ceiling and they're just sitting there like, I can't get past that, right? They're just frustrated. But sometimes it takes us learning the lessons. And then all of a sudden when you start opening that opportunity up, the ceiling just, it like levels up. It's like, okay, next. And then you're going up higher. Next. And what I found too is when you're going through that, be grateful for where you're at. For every little inch forward, be grateful for that. And then what I've also, a good thing that I have heard a lot of people say, and it's good to think is when you get to a next level in your life or your business, relationships, whatever it is, when you have that moment of just opportunity, of just creativity, that, just that beautiful moment of excelling and success, then be grateful and say thank you, more please. And if you say thank you, more please, you're allowing yourself to thank you for what I've gone through, and more please. I want more. Not that you want more of the struggle, not that you want more hard times. That's not it. Thank you, more please is meaning now that you're grateful, more of that stuff, more of that gratefulness, more of that beautiful moments in your life that you can be successful and excel. So I hope, again, this helps you guys, and I hope this makes sense. I didn't want to go too long today. It's just one of those days where I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I really wanted to do this outside again, and I always say this, but I mean, by the time, even this morning, it was so hot. I was wanting to do this outside, and I thought, oh man, I went outside.
Never mind.
Never mind. Yeah, never mind. It's okay. Saw me, you're drinking some cold water, trying to stay cool. So anyway, did you have anything else? Did you want to add anything else to this? Well, before we close out, I mean,
not really.
Yeah, okay. I just think be mindful, again, guys, be mindful of this. And if you have to write, one last thing here, if you have to write it out and journal, that's another thing that can really help you when you're thinking about this. Take some paper, a notebook, a journal, I don't care what it is, write it out. Sometimes journaling can really, you can just write all this stuff out, and then you look back and read it, and you'll find sometimes that you'll see the lesson already there. You wrote it out and didn't know it. That's another good trick to do. So, okay guys, well, I'm going to close out for now, get some more water, and you guys have a really good weekend. Stay cool wherever you are. If you're wherever you are and it's summer, stay cool. And I will talk to you again next week on my Coffee Break Conversations. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.